All right. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Yahweh. This is your brother IQAhmath. IQAhmath first name. IQ is all the same. Here with another lesson, man. MOTC, Messengers of the Covenant, for Shabbat. We're going to be covering Revelation, the eighth chapter, right? And in the eighth chapter, if you're dealing with chapter 8 and chapter 9 of Revelation, you're talking about the seven trumpets. Most High willing, I'll do chapter 9 at a future date, so we can cover all seven. But chapter 8 will cover the first four trumpets, right? And it's very important that we get this understanding, especially now if you don't have it, because we're dealing in the last days. I know it sounds, so cliche, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows and can feel it and see it in their spirits, not only through the spirit, but you can witness it in real time. How things are changing. A lot of the headlines now are all talking about historical moments. Armageddon now is in, verbiages that's being used in mainstream media. You're seeing the ultimate collapse of America and the weakening of the hegemony of America as the Bible prophesied that it will have. You're seeing wickedness rising to the top and being revealed more and more from the PDF file rings, the satanic, occult nature that many of the elites that run America, from the bankers to the entertainment industry to the hedge fund, uh, controllers, politicians, we seeing it all, man. The ultimate battle of good and evil is right before our faces, and everybody sees it now. I ain't gonna say everybody, because there's a lot of people, man, that's really out here just lost in the sauce and could give two issues about it, right? But if we're going to keep it in alignment with what the Bible prophesied and say that we need to do, so we need to make sure that we're covering these particular areas of study, right? So, here it is, man. The end all be all. Revelation chapter 8 breakdown. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Prayerfully, everybody's well, man. By the time you're watching this, Shabbat should be underway. Make sure that you've, wiped your feet and all that other good stuff, man, when you come on in here to get this understanding and to chew on some of this meat. All right. So let's open up. We're going to get right into it. I don't want to be too long with this, but let's still be thorough. But at the same time, I want to make sure everything's in alignment. So let's see. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's do it. I'll just share my whole screen. All right. All right. So let's start off. Let's get right to it, right? Revelation, the 8th chapter. Now it says, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half hour. So one thing for sure, two things for certain. When you see half hour, it ain't talking about 30 minutes. It's not talking about the secular time that we're trapped in here in this realm that we call Earth, right? It's basically talking about a spiritual time that there was silence for a half hour. It's not literal. So how do we know it's not literal? Because the Most High, let's read that Hosea chapter 12. Read verse 10. It says, I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So, we have to understand how the Most High reveals prophecy, how the prophets are being spoken of. So even when we're reading this entire book of Revelation, what chapter I should say of Revelation, everything that we're reading in here, I would probably say at least 95% of it is based upon similitudes, based upon visions. You say, well, IQ, what's a similitude? Let's look it up. Here you go. Similitude is the likeness, resemblance, or a likeness in nature, qualities of appearance, right, as a similitude of substance. A comparison, a simile, right? So the best way that we can see is almost like a metaphor, right? Word replacement, a descriptive word, or a description that's being utilized for an object, place, a thing. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a comparison. So when John the Revelator is receiving this vision, He's comparing it to things of his time and era and his experience when he's writing this. And it's our job to decipher, to understand what was he trying to show us in these days and times, because he's talking about future events. And he's saying, man, the only thing I can compare it to is a mountain, is a cloud. The only thing I can compare it to is like wormwood. The only thing man, what else can you understand? Stars. What? And now we got to decipher and determine what was John talking about when he said that, right? So we're talking about similitudes being used, not literal. So even with the space of a half hour, this is how we know that it is not the same time that the Most High is talking about, and use ain't the same time that we're on. 2 Peter 3:8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. So we can't look at timing the same way that you would in our time. The Most High said 1,000 years is like a day to him. So the half hour is just a dispensation of time, no specifics, but just know that there's a stretch of time that was categorized as a half hour in the spirit. All right. And part of what we're seeing here is let's read verse 2. It says, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before the Most High, and to them were given 7 trumpets. So each one of them had has an objective. The trumpet is being held and being blown. We should know by now, but for those who don't know, some are new, some are going to watch this just in passing, might pop on their feed. They might be searching, looking for understanding. So for those who don't know, the trumpet in the ancient times of Israel was being used as a instrument to alert the people, to call an assembly, to notify when it was time to move or to journey, to get prepared for war. And it was done by tones and alarms that everybody would, know. Code. You understand? So Numbers chapter 10, we're going to read verse 1 down. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, make thee 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of the camp. This is important too, because, just in the spirit of things, when we're talking about the calling of the assembly, we have to see here that the Most High even told us in Zephaniah 2 that there's going to be a time where the assembly has to be gathered together. Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Well, who's the nation that's not desired? Who's the people that every time you complain, or every time, not even complain, every time you bring up our atrocities, our histories, our oppression, you understand what I'm saying? Us getting the short end of the stick every time. Soon as you start researching and trying to find out who you are, you're quickly labeled a black identity extremist. You start bringing up segregation. You start talking about any of our histories, and then what's the first thing that you get from a right wing liberal or somebody else? Oh, you don't like it? Then go back to Africa. Get out of here. You can leave. It's a free country. You can go wherever you want to go. You don't have to be here. You don't want to represent America. You don't want to say this, sing the Star Spangled Banner and put your arm across your hand across your heart and all of that. Well, why don't you just leave? Oh, nation not desired, right? Ask the Native Americans if they were desired. When they come over here and were slaughtered by the millions, put in a situation of genocide, smallpox, warfare, whooping cough, you name it, false peace treaties all broken, land grabs, Homestead Act, you name it. And now they're all shoved on what's called reservations. And you're wondering, what are they being reserved for? Reservations, living in impoverished conditions, where they are told, stay over there if you want your own land and your own autonomy. Don't try to get out, leave the reservation and come back into the cities and come back into the quote unquote rest of the world. Yeah, they're not desired. Why do they have projects, ghettos, barrios, slums, shanty towns? everywhere on earth, let alone in the Western Hemisphere over here, that house blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics. You're not desired. Why they think they look at you crazy when you try to go into the upper you going into the more elevated places of society. Here in California, you can go to Newport Beach, they're gonna look at you crazy. But niggas is here. What they doing here? Are you in the right place? Oh, Beverly Hills, what's that place? Calabasas, all these other places where money is. They looking at you like, what are you doing here? You going into a restaurant, and upper class restaurant, and they coming in asking you, can you where you gonna put my coat at? And you like, man, I'm waiting in line to eat just like you. What are you talking about? I don't work here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, nation, I desire. See, we don't need any more examples, right? Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, oh nation, I desire. Before what? Before the decree bring forth. See, there's a decree that's already been acknowledged. When we're going over these particular trumpets, we're talking about the decree of the Lord being brought forth. You're talking about war, destruction, pestilence, plague, right? Judgment on the earth. And the Lord said the judgment must begin at the house of the Lord first. So it's about cleaning up our house. The Lord said, man, get your house clean. Yahweh even told us, in, I believe, Matthew the 7th chapter, get the mote out of your own eye before you get out your brother's. So we have to be on alert and be prepared before the decree bring forth, before the day passes the chaff. Ain't talking about once it's all going down. Oh, now you want to get right. Now you want to get your act together. No, the Lord said, before all of this goes down, you better be prepared. Get right. Before the fierce anger of Yahweh come upon you, before the day of Yahweh's anger come upon you. Right? Now, getting back to Numbers chapter 10. So this is why the trumpets are important. This is why it's important that we even going over this lesson, because we have to make sure that it's understood before these things happen. And the trumpets are already being blown as we speak right now. Let's continue. So it says, and when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And if they blow with one trumpet, then the princes, which are heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto thee. So there was particular tone. One trumpet gets blown, the princes and the heads of Israel would tell everybody, come gather. They had to come gather themselves together. Another alarm is for the east side to move. Another alarm gets blown, the south gets blown, and so forth and so on, right? So this is all coded tones of the trumpets that our people were listening for. So as we're going over these trumpets now, you're not going to hear a literal trumpet being blown and you're saying, oh, that was the first one. Oh, did you hear that? Yeah, okay, we got to do that. This is about to happen. No, these are things in the spirit that you have to be in observation to know. You have to be in the spirit to even understand and know that this is going to happen. How do we even know that that's in the spirit? Look at Matthew the 10th chapter. No, John 10. And I want to read why am I missing that one? I know it's here. Is it not John 10? Maybe I'm missing that one. See, you got to be patient, IQ. John 10:27. They were John 10. John 10:27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Yahweh said that his sheep is going to hear his voice. Are you waiting for a voice? Hey, you, yeah. Did you hear me? No, you ain't waiting for that. Something in the spirit is telling you that it's time to change. It's time to make, it's time to observe and see what's going on around you. It's time to separate yourself from people that are a bad influence to you. It's time to start, adhering to more of a better moral code or a civil code. It's time to change your diet. Something within you said this. You need to make changes in your life. And as you start doing that, you start hearing a voice in the spirit that's leading and guiding you and directing you on things that you need to do, i.e., repent and follow after the righteous ways of Yahushua and our ancestors. Right? So you're not going to hear the trumpet blowing like that, but you're going to witness, you're going to see. See, even Mark 13, let's read that real quick. And the 16. Oh, it's a little further down. I think it's 36. Yeah, 33. Shalaki. Mark 13:33 says, "Take ye heed, do what? Watch and pray." So not only are we in tune in the spirit with the developments of what's happening with the angels and the blowing of the trumpets and paying attention to prophecy and current events and things of that nature, that's where we watch, but we also are in prayer mode during that time because you never know. As we continue, for ye know not when the time is, right? So understanding the purpose of the trumpets is to the assembling of the people, to alert the people when it was time for worship, when it was time to move. Look, the scriptures even tell us, man, that we got to be like pilgrims on the earth. So there is going to be some shaking and moving, all that. There may be some times where the situation calls for you to shelter in place, and prepare yourself for whatever is going on outside those doors. But there's going to be plenty of times where you're going to have to shake and move. Well, we got to get up out of this place to go to the next place, until that day comes when we're redeemed from the earth via the chariots and we're taken up out of this place known as America before the flames really get to boiling this place over with. And we get set in a place of comfort and safety known as a wilderness until, the final judgment occurs. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, we know that America is going to be destroyed, but the rest of the world will still be in existence. There'll be other parts of the world too that get destroyed, but America is definitely going to be destroyed. So from that, we need to be removed from the place of destruction and placed in a place of safety. But at that same time, we're still going to be not out of the safe zone yet, because final decree and judgment still has to take place. That's a whole nother thing, whole nother lesson. However, making sure we understand and know what the trumpet is for, right? Also, the classic scripture in Isaiah 58 lets us know the purpose of the trumpet. Cry aloud. Isaiah 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression. So even when you listen, we're reading and we're hearing what John is getting the understanding of. He's not just listening to trumpets being played and he's just, chilling like he's listening to Miles Davis or, Dizzy Gillespie or something, and it's just coming to him. He's being instructed and shown too what's going on as he's hearing these trumpets blow. But as the men of the Lord, our job is to go out there and to lift our voices like trumpets to alert and alarm the people of what? The decree being brought forth for the Lord, crying aloud, trying to save our people, to give them the knowledge of salvation, to give them the knowledge of the inheritance that's waiting for them. And when you see brothers that's out there, man, and you got the speakers, the microphones, some brothers don't have that, that audio equipment, but they're yelling at the top of their lungs. It's passion. That's not emotion. That's not for brothers to be, to be ridiculed, even though, the scriptures say we will be. But, the scriptures say, man, we're fools for Christ's sake. Right. So even when you see that, don't fall victim to, oh, those guys are crazy. You see those guys over there yelling? See how they dress? Oh, you see how them guys over there just want attention? Oh yeah, those guys are goofballs. They're over there crying about the last days, and there ain't nobody listening to them, and they're a hate group, and they're black identity extremity. You're like, you hear all of the foolishness. They're a cult. No, don't get it twisted, man. These brothers are standing out there risking their lives, risking their freedom in some cases, and passionately are trying to tell house of Jacob to repent from their sins and to stop transgressing against our power. All right. So that's the focus on with the trumpets. So in the spirit, this is what we're seeing. John is getting a revealing of. So these seven trumpets are all have a particular seal or understanding that once it's blown, that's going to be a call to action, through the spirit that's going to play out here on the earth. All right. So reading verse 3, it says, and another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and it was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. So now we're seeing here a whole nother scenario, right? With the angel that's coming out. He stood at the altar having the golden censer, much incense. The incense offered the prayers of the saints. So when you see brothers that's teaching and having incense out, that's not to create some atmosphere and the ambiance and the beyond some old super spirit. No, the incense serve a purpose as well through the spirit, man. The incense carries the saints. That sweet savor, man, carries the prayers of the saints to the Most High. Revelation chapter 5, we'll read 1 down to 5. It says, and I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. So just like we read earlier, let's revisit it one more time in Daniel, the 12th chapter. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Seal the book, even to the time of the end. So seals were placed upon the book until the time of the end. So when we're reaching the time of the end or the end times, the seals will be removed. Prophecies will start unfolding. Knowledge and wisdom and understanding is going to flow like a river. People are going to start, our people in particular, Blacks, Native Americans, Hispanics, are going to start waking up in droves, just like we're seeing right now. Many shall run to and fro. So now people are running to receive information. How fast? Think of it. Fast is the run, right? Now we're in the age of information where things come to you fast, even through the gift and the curse of the internet, the microwave society, where people want stuff right now. I always talk about the crystal ball. I start seeing people now referencing the phones as crystal balls now. Whatever. Okay. I ain't gonna say I came up with it, but all right. But and it's not for credit, but the analogies of how fast information comes through the phones, the internet, so forth and so on, that's been one of the greatest tools of waking up our people and spreading the knowledge of the gospel to Israel scattered throughout the 4 corners of earth via the internet. That's running to and fro. That side, this history, this archaeological side, this book, this reference, this video. And not only that, but through sheer study, through sheer prayer, through fasting, understanding is developing and coming and increasing more as the times go on. When the men of the Lord came, started acknowledging and getting the truth back in the 1800s, and then transitioning into the 30s, and then into the 40s and the 50s and in the 60s and the 70s, knowledge was continually increasing more and more and more. And then after 1970, it really started exploding. That's when it was becoming even more apparent about who the 12 tribes of Israel are, and start, gathering our people back. Even in the late 60s, you had Ben-Ami and them making a travel back, going to Israel to go live in Dimona. Now, I don't agree that it was the time for that. However, it's still showing that as knowledge was increasing, people were starting to realize, hey, this is the truth. This is who I am. This is who we are. And as we continue on, the understanding gets more and more refined, more developed, and increases. Okay. So as we're seeing it here, so the same way brothers was living and moving and had an understanding of the truth. When I came in 94, 95, it's developed and increased even more since then. 1-2 years later. Some of the foundational understandings, of course, are still the same. All praise to the Most High. Brothers was on point and had it locked down from then. But there are other things that need to be refined. There are other things that was understood, but now even more knowledge is being presented to solidify those points of understanding. Whatever the breakdowns, I ain't talking about. I ain't got time to be talking about all the different breakdowns that's been increased and changed. But y'all know, you've been around, you've been picking up what I've been putting down. But if you not, don't get too close because you might get shot. Had to do that. Continuing on. All right. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So, how is it going to be increased? Because the seals are going to be getting opened up even more and more. Okay. Um, let me get another one in Psalm 94. Now, do I want to Psalm 94? Well, yeah. Actually, you know what? Let me start back over here in chapter 5. I'm going to read down to 5, and then we'll read a couple other precepts. So, looking here again. Now, who is this angel that's going to, who's the man sitting on the throne that's going to have these seals opened up? And I saw on the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and loose the seals thereof?" So there was a proposition that's being made as an angel, strong angel came up and said, "Who can open up this book? It's got these 7 seals on it, man. We want to know and desire what's in it." And the children of the Lord is on the earth. How is this going to affect them? How are these seals going to be loosened up? It says, "And no man in heaven nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon." So yeah, that was part of the seal that was placed when Daniel, was instructed and told that a seal was going to be placed on the book. So wisdom, understanding, out will be stagnated for a while, but the spirit of truth was still going to prevail. It still had a time that it was going to be unleashed. Verse 4, "And I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, have prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof." So who's this Lion of the tribe of Judah? Hebrews 7. Let's read this real quick. Hebrews 7, verse 14. "For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah," right? So talking about Yahweh sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood, right? So we're talking about the changing of the priesthood after the order of Melchizedek in chapter Hebrews chapter 7. And it was based after the ordering of Christ. In Revelation 22:16, it says that I, Yahweh Shai, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. So when we see back in Revelation 5:5, now it says, who's able to open the seal? Who's able to open a book? Who's able to start unveiling and allowing the prophecies of the Lord to start prevailing upon the earth? It's Yahweh Shai. "And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, have prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals." So the spirit of prophecy is going to only come through Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is going to reveal those prophecies, right? Let me read Revelation 12. Let's read verse 14. Hold on. So like Revelation 14 and 12. So Revelation 14 and 12, right? It says, "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Most High and the faith of Yahweh Shai." So in order to get understanding, in order to get the revealing of the prophecies, you have to have the commandments of the Most High in effect and keeping the faith of Yahweh Shai. All right, let me get that in Psalms 110 also. Psalm 110 and verse No, Salakia. Psalm 111 and 10. Psalm 111 and 10. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endure forever. So, what a good understanding can only come by those that do his commandments. There's another scripture in the Apocrypha where it says, he that giveth his mind to the Lord and to the commandments will be occupied in prophecy. That's in Sirach. Uh, let me get that real quick, Salaki. And yeah, Sirach 39 and 1. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecy. So there's a sequence of how we get understanding of prophecy, right? Number one, it's got to come through the fear of the Most High, the keeping of the commandments, the faith of Christ, right? That trio of things will help one understand and be occupied in prophecy. And the scriptures say that they will have a good understanding. Okay. So when it comes down to the seal, back in Revelation 5, it's only going to come through Yahweh Shai that the prophecies get revealed. Let's get that in Revelation 19. Revelation 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. That's why the scripture said, man, no, there was nobody on earth and heaven. Nobody could open it up. Why? Because it was only going to come through Yahweh Shai. This is why the OT only and all them, they have no idea about the prophecies, eschatology, any of that. This is why the small hats have no idea. White man, and and the evangelicals and the Episcopalians, they have no idea. The Catholics, they have no idea. They're guessing, they're trying to add two and two, trying to put it all together, but they can't get the full picture. I fell at his feet. Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see, thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So through Yahweh Shai, that's where we're going to get the understanding of these prophecies. That's how the seal got, broken and understood. And even if you're looking at the seven angels going back, when you're dealing with Revelation 5 and 2, you see here in Tobit 12 and 15, I am Raphael, one of the seven holy angels, which present the prayers of the saints and which go in and out before the glory of the Holy One. So when we go back, looking at Revelation, the 5th chapter, and picking up at verse 3, no, Salakia, I want Revelation 8. 8 and 3. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer with the prayers of all the saints. Who was that angel? Back to Tobit. I am Raphael, one of the seven holy angels, which present the prayers of the saints. So when you see who that angel was, it was Raphael that was presenting the prayers of the saints. It says, in which go in and out before the glory of the Holy One, right? He offers up all the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. Okay. That's Revelation 8 and 3. Let's look at even Revelation. Let's look at Revelation chapter 6 and verse 10. Because part of the prayers of the saints, as we see here, one of the seals were the slain of the Lord, which were martyred and killed for the word of the Lord, That's part of the prayers of the saints. These are part of the prayers that Raphael is carrying to the Most High. This is part of the seals that Yahweh Shai is, revealing and opening up via prophecy. Revelation 6 and 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell upon the earth, or dwell on the earth? So this is one of the prayers that the trumpets get blown, that judgment and vengeance happens upon the earth, right? These are the righteous men of the Lord that are waiting to be waiting to be avenged, who held the testimony of the Most High, who held fast to the faith of Yahweh Shai, kept the commandments, did the work, right? That's one of the prayers that's being offered up. Psalm 94 and verse 1. O Yahweh Elohim, to whom vengeance belongeth, O Most High, to whom vengeance belongeth, show thyself, lift up thyself, thou judge of the earth, render a reward to the proud. I mean, is there anybody more proud than DJT, Donald J. Trump, right? The head orangutan in charge, Agent Orange. Lift up thy voice, thou judge of the earth, render a reward to the proud. I mean, I was just listening to an excerpt of an interview that he did. I think it was with who was it? MSNBC or CNN, one of them. Fox. No, man, I think it was Fox. One of these talking heads, man. Here he is bragging and talking about the war, right? And he was talking about the ceasefire that recently, he just extended indefinitely. I mean, if you went in the war and you getting everything you need, why are you saying, hold on, let's take a break, let's stop fighting for as long as it takes? As long as it takes for who? Iran is like, what? We're ready to go. We've got Iran just fired like 300 missiles at the small hats and got them begging for a ceasefire. Who needs it? That's the bigger question. He's talking about Iran is broke. They ain't got no. I mean, you've heard the lies and the rhetoric, right? Now he was talking about, well, if they don't. So now, mind you, this is before the deadline of the Tuesday ceasefire, and he said, look, if they don't want to submit to everything that we want according to this peace agreement, he said the military is ready to go. They're chomping at the bit. They're so ready. And mind you, this is I built this military. This is my work. After I took over for Barack Hussein Obama, who basically had the troops in starvation and the weapons was all down, I built this military. I wish I had that clip. He was so proud. He can't help but to throw himself in the mix every time about what he's done. Yeah, when I was in the White House, they didn't have the ballroom. Look what I'm doing, $200+ million. I'm investing. This is look. I decked it out in gold. I did this. I did. He's constantly proud. Yeah, this is my military. I built it. I invested. I did this. Watch how no military is better than this in the whole world. They're so fabulous, so fabulous, so fabulous. I mean, he's constantly proud as ever, man. And this is one of the prayers, not only of you and me, but the fallen saints. These are the prayers that we offer up. These are the prayers that this needs to be part of your prayer and your daily supplications to the Lord, is that you want reward being shown as vengeance to the proud, to those that rule over us, to those who have no regard for the respect and honor that the Most High and Yahweh Shai deserve. The Lord said, man, send up those prayers, offer them up with the incense. The prayers of the saints go up. Raphael is he'll take the saints of the prayers of the saints to Yahweh Shai, who's the mediator. I mean, these are the things that have to be done in order for the trumpet to continue to be blown and the prophecies unfolding and the wicked be judged. Verse 3, Yahweh, how long shall the wicked, how long shall the wicked triumph? How long shall they utter and speak hard things? From Agent Orange to Benjamin Netanyahu, to all of the talking heads that's running around supporting the MAGA and America and Babylon and uplifting everything that's America stands for, from the progression of the sodomite agenda to the transformers running everything. I mean, come on, man. The destruction of the food, water supplies, air, population control. You name it, man. They're speaking hard things. If you're not ready to get into the digital cell blocks that they're getting ready to line up for everybody in this what are they calling it? This great reset. I mean, these are hard things that you got to say, man. Damn, they making it hard for somebody to deal with that or agree with that, and the B system markings that's coming down the pipeline that everybody's kind of being sheep herded into. You understand? So they doing all these things. How long shall they utter and speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity boast themselves? Yeah, that guy is constantly boasting. Nobody had the courage to do what I did and shut the straight down. We're gonna take the oil. We're gonna take it. We're gonna take it. The horrible drug lord over there in Venezuela, Maduro. I went over there and kidnapped him. I did it. I'm blowing up boats in the meantime, blowing them up. Spectacular. Billions and billions of dollars I'm spending on the military. I mean, constantly boasting. Did you see the ballroom I'm making? I'm making a new ballroom. Melania, I love her, I love her, I love her. I'm exonerated. No, Epstein here. What? I mean, the list goes on and on, man. All the workers of iniquity boast themselves. The rich get richer, the poor get poor. I'm gonna read verse 5 and I'm gonna move on. They break in pieces thy people, of Yahweh, and afflict thy inheritance, man. I mean, they have broken the children of Israel physically, mentally, spiritually. Break in pieces, man, from the buck breaking all the way on up to uh, breaking down the spirit of the people, man. The scripture says he's going to wear out the saints of the Most High. I mean, can you imagine? You're on the clock. When you got to hit that damn alarm clock goes off, you're on his time now. You just woke up from having nightmares all damn night. Now you got to wake up to the alarm clock. Now you're on his clock. You're rushing to get out the house to go sit in traffic to get to work. Then you go working for him 8, 9, 10 hours. Some people working 12-hour days to go home, sit in traffic again, to get home so damn beat down and tired that all you want to do is have a glass of wine, eat, and because of that glass of wine, you done fell asleep. Can't spend no time with the kids. The kids is already, being indoctrinated as they're, locked down all day at daycare, school, after school programs, uh, football, baseball, basketball practice, all these other little after school clubs. If they ain't doing that stuff, even if those things exist anymore, who knows? But they're constantly occupied with their brains being manipulated and in control. I mean, that is breaking in pieces our people, man. And you do all that to get a piece of mind known as a paycheck every 2 weeks, only to give it all back. Only to give it all back through your car note, your insurance, your mortgage, your rent, your electric bill, your cell phone, your grocery bill, you name it. And if you got a little bit left to spare for whatever little entertainment you're paying for your streaming services and this, that, and the third, you can't afford to eat out no more. Let alone can you trust it? You dig what I'm saying? Like, that's breaking in pieces, man. And afflict thine inheritance. That's affliction. I don't need no more examples, but you can see where it's going. Okay. So let's jump on back to Revelation 8 and let's continue on. Let's pick it up where we at. Verse 4. Okay. It says, and the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascend up before the Most High out of the angel's hand. So this is where you see the incense is carrying the prayers of the saints, ascending out of the hand of the angel to be offered up before the Most High. And let's read we'll read the book of Luke. Why is this moving like it is? We'll just start verse 7. And we're talking about the coming of John. And they had no child because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. So talking about Elizabeth and his father, uh, dang it, Zachariah. Trying to get this thing to move right. All right. So this is prophesying in the birth of John. And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before the Most High in the order of his course, according to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense. And when he went into the temple of the Lord, so, Zechariah's whole mission was to make sure that the incense stayed burning in the priest's office. Why? Because it was continual prayer of the people. So the incense burning is a customary practice, and it's scriptural that if you can, you should be burning some incense when you're offering up your prayers. That's how the transitioning of your prayers reach the Most High. So Zechariah had to make sure that that incense was being burnt, that the supplications of the saints was being carried to the Most High through the Spirit. Verse 10, and the whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense. So they were praying without ceasing at the time of the incense. Right? So the time of the incense was getting burnt. Israel's out there praying, doing what they need to do. Now, getting back to Revelation 8, we'll read 5 and pick it up at verse 5. Now, it says, and the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. So you hear the power of these particular prayers and how the Most High, through the Spirit, was reacting to the voices of the prayers of the saints. It filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 angels, which had the 7 trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. So the prayers of the saints are being received, the moanings, the groanings, the seeking of the vengeance, so forth and so on. All that is going on. That's how we can see that the hold on, what's that other scripture? It's in Psalms. No. Judges. Judges 5 and 2. It says, praise ye Yahweh for the avenging of Israel when the people willingly offer themselves. So, realistically, man, it's on us. How fast or how soon these prophecies unfold and the trumpets get blown, because we just got to seeing that as the prayers of the saints were being offered up, that's when the Most High receded, and it said that thunderings and loud voices, everything was going on, and that's what alerted the 7 angels to get ready to blow their trumpets and prepare themselves to sound. So it all is upon the children of Israel when we are on one accord and we say we want the vengeance of our enemies, we want to be redeemed, we want out of here, blah, blah, blah. That's the alert that the angels now say, oh, Yahweh says, hey, 7, get ready. First up, it said, and they prepare themselves to sound. When is that going to happen? When the children of Israel willingly offer themselves, when we collectively and the hopeful elect are being sealed and being willingly ready to serve and offer ourselves to the Most High as willing sacrifices, according to Romans 12, 1 and 2. That's what it's going to take. right? So when that happens, all it's over with. It is over with. So here we see, and the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. On your mark. Yes, sir. You feel me? That's what we're looking at. Verse 7, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. So this is the first trumpet. It said there's going to be hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the grass was burnt up. So let's look and see and get an understanding about this, right? Um, Remember, we're still talking similitude language. So when we see here in verse 7, in particular, all the grass getting burnt up and a third part of the trees was burnt up. Um, do I have that? Let me see. Uh, I mean, I've covered it in times past, but there's a particular. You know what? Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. I want to find this. Need to find. Let me look at my files real quick, because the third part of the earth is basically breaking down to a portion in the section in the earth that's going to be dealing with destruction and in the corners of the earth, so forth and so on, that the biblical language uses. I'm trying to see if I get this up. Allegory to Continents is the name of the book. I brought this out before, um, but I want to see if it will open up. So I'm looking right now. It's taking its time. Come on now. Let me see. I can't get it up. Ah, shoot. Why is this not open? Let's see. Maybe it'll come up this one. Slocky, y'all. Let me see if it'll come up. Hey, I don't know why this thing ain't opening up. Um, I really want to just show this particular point. Let me see if I can get it up. Let me see. Where did I have that at? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Slocky, y'all. I don't know. Oh, here it go. It was taking a minute. Gotta be patient, man. Yeah, I was trying to tell you, in your patience, possessing your soul. Let me make sure that they're still sharing. I think because there's a lot of text and pictures and stuff on here, it's just taking a minute for it all to kind of load up, and I don't want to take too long trying to prove this point or look at this particular point. Some of y'all maybe remember this, but if not, um, in this particular book, it talks about during the 16th century and 17th century how um, the earth was divided in the ancient times and how they looked at it. And one of the things that they showed was how America was built upon. Uh, Let me see if I can search real quick. I ain't gonna do it. I need to find it real quick. Iconography. Yeah, here you go. So now when you look here, let me make sure it's sharing. Yeah, okay. So when you see here, it says the allegories of the four continents: Europe, Asia, Africa, and America. So these were the way that they broke up the earth. When you see in little literary terminology, so look at King James's, published in 1611, so forth and so on, right? So during this particular era, when even when you're looking at when you read in a fourth part of the earth, third part of the earth, these are just how the biblical writers were acknowledging how the earth was, divided up, right? So you see here, they're allegories of the four continents: Europe, Asia, Africa, and America, with extremely popular iconography motifs during the Baroque era. It was most prevalent in the southern parts of the Holy Roman Empire. The allegories express, manifest, or carry the imagination, conception, vision of the Barquet of the shape of the world, its political, social, and spiritual, as well as foreign and familiar things. This unique collection of documents in four continents, right, in frescoes, stucco paintings, or sculptures in their place of origin, the historical contextualization contains in the building history as well as the artists and principles. All right, so when you're looking at the fourth part, third part, it's just talking about a section of the earth that's going to be, utilized or destroyed. All right. Now let me switch back home, sharing my screen. Let me see if I can. Mm, I didn't share it the way I wanted to. Okay, let me stop sharing that way. Okay, so now we get on back. Now it says a third part of the trees was burnt up. So this is not only talking about a section of the earth, but it's talking about a dispensation or a particular portion of peoples that's going to be put to death via hail and fire. So remember, even when you see in uh let's see, Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13, and it acknowledges that Babylon is going to be destroyed. Now, even let's read verse 19. Now, we're going to read 18 and 19. And notice too, it says that Babylon will fall to the Medes. Okay. So, said it before and in times past, the Persians and the Medes did not have to destroy Babylon. There was not a major wars. There was minor skirmishes. However, Babylon literally surrendered to the Persians and the Medes. So, historically, you could look it up. There was no massive destruction. Anything that was done via fire, flames, destruction of Babylon historically by the Medes. And when you're talking about prophecy, the Medes is translating into the Persians. This is why we're hearing about and seeing so much conflict with Iran. When you hear about General Wesley Clark, and he was talking about the 7 wars that needed to happen that America had planned out, and Iran was the last one. We talked about it last week and in times past before. He said he's going to get Russia. I mean, Russia, like it, Syria, Libya, um, Sudan, Lebanon, um, Iraq. But the last one he said was going to be Iran. So that's why I said the end all be all. We're here and looking at, oh, well, Russia's going to be end up, Russia's going to be involved. But remember Ezekiel 38 that Russia is going to be a guard to Persia, and Persia was the first nation that was listed when it came down to um, who they needed to be in alignment with when it came down to warfare, who they were going to have to come to aid to. So, will it all start off with a Russia and America conflict? I don't think so because Persia was acknowledged. Well, let's look at that real quick. So just moving in the spirit, man. Uh Ezekiel 38. See, even when you see here, verse 3, and say, thus saith the most high power, behold, I'm against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Even when you see like Meshach and Tubal, those are areas of Turkey. And in the recent news, you're hearing about how the small hats are saying that they want Turkey next. Let me see if I can get that up. See this? Turkish threat talked up, and Israel is not a Jew. It's focusing in on Turkey. So, look, Turkey is Israel's next Iran. Okay. So, yeah, I don't have time to go into all of it, but I've shown maps and things where you see Meshach Tubal, those areas, Meshach Tubal, those areas representing and showing Turkey, right? But the Lord said He's going to be against them, not only against Russia but against Turkey. You're hearing Turkey saying they want out of the EU, even though they're part of NATO. They've already said that they're going to align themselves with their Muslim brothers and so forth and so on, right? So that settles that. Verse 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. Speaking about Russia, what's he going to do? He's going to control them, pull them into a war. So they're not going to be the initiators, but they're going to be pulled into a war. And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So this is going to be a situation where they're going to be pulled into a war. And who's the first one? Persia. And speaking about Iran, Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Dropping down, we're going to get right to verse 7. Be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So their job, Russia's job, is going to be to guard, watch over, protect, and to assist these other nations that are going to be drawn into war. So if you even seeing Persia, Libya was one of the countries that was listed within the 7 that Wesley Clark said America was going to be attacking and going after the oil reserves and wanting control of the Middle East. They've already taken out Libya with Gaddafi and so forth, those other nations. Ethiopia, basically, you can look up historically, Ethiopia and Russia has economic and military relations. So they've got interest in them. So even when you're looking at the African nations in Eastern Africa, may not be specifically Ethiopia, but when they said that, Sudan and Somalia was going to be part of, the 7, this is all prophetic. But in particular, we're looking at Iran, right? So this is going to be the linchpin for things to get cracking. Verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. So Iran's going to be stirred up against who? Babylon, America, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So there is no negotiating. There's no money that you can throw at it. Look, America even said, look, we've got $20 billion in reserve for you. It could be back yours if you open the strait and you give us all the depleted, we give you all your uranium reserves. And Iran is like, what? No, keep the money. We're going to be fine without it. They're not tripping about money. You can't buy them off. You're talking about sacred land. You're talking about religious zealots. You're talking about a historic, ancient nation that's always, fought for their survival. They ain't going nowhere. So that's the key. That silver and gold, they're not delighting in it. This is not a war for money for them. It is for America. America wants the oil. Remember, Trump has even been on record since the 80s talking about if he was president, he'd get in there and take all the oil. For him, it's about resources, about money. It's about extending the monetary hegemony of America. For them, no, it's more of a battle in the spirit. Them finally going up against the great Satan, as they call it. Now, verse 18, their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of their womb. Their eyes shall not spare. So we're seeing, warfare jumping off to where young, old doesn't matter, right? Verse 19, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, how was Sodom and Gomorrah overthrown? Fire, brimstone, right? Raining down from the skies. So when we see here fire and hail, brimstone, Genesis 19, Revelation 8 and 7 says the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. Why is it mingled with blood? Because it's of the destruction that's happening, the bodies that are going to be dropping, the blood that's going to be accumulated through this destruction, right? They were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up. So a third part of the trees is just representing a multitude of people that will be destroyed. How do we know it's the people? Mark 8 and verse 24. Again, we're getting back to the beginning. This is just similitudes of languages. Mark 8:24. And I looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. So what are we seeing? The blind man is saying that he's seen men as trees walking in the garden. So this is not literal. The trees are people. That's where the blood is coming from. Trees don't bleed blood. It's literal that individuals will, face certain death during these particular times. Let's look at Exodus. Exodus 9. And if you remember, because even when you're looking at, I'm gonna have to open up a third. Shoot, Salakia, I don't think I've been sharing my tabs correctly. Did I share that? Hopefully I did. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all seeing these particular articles, right? When I was reading Ezekiel 37, Ezekiel 38. Now, I don't think I shared this. Let me go back. And when we're seeing here about Revelation 8 and 7, the angel sounding, hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. So we just got to reading Isaiah 13. I don't think I shared my screen correctly with that one, but through reading and understanding, that's what was being covered, right? Now, if you see here, let me read one more in it ain't gonna open up correctly. Let me see if I can do it like this. Second Ezra. Now think about this. Second Ezra 15, right? And remember, what are we talking about? We're talking about prophecy. Seals being opened up. Second Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. Now, what's one of the things that's going to be prophetic? I'm gonna read verse 11, get right to the point. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So remember that even though we're seeing this warfare carry on, don't always expect in the immediate, hear me now, in the immediate with this war between Iran and America and the small hat GMOs occupying our land, don't think bombs is going to hit over here immediately. Remember, the empire of America has spread throughout the four corners of the earth. They've got over 700 military bases throughout the earth, right? So even when you're hearing about, oh, well, Babylon is going to get hit with this, that, and the third, it's going to start with the extension, the tentacle arms of America in these other areas. That's why when you see the American bases in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and all these other, surrounding nations and whatnot, where they're posted up in Europe, when they get hit, that's still Babylon getting hit. That's still an extension of the kingdom before home base actually gets hit. And that's when they're going to get hit by the big boys, when Russia gets involved, China gets involved, Pakistan, all these other nations, man. That's when, where the big boys get involved, that's when America's going to face certain doom. The NATO nations. Remember, the scriptures tell you that the 10 horns are going to hate the whore and they're going to burn it with fire. So it ain't going to be Iran that's going to be the one that actually, hits and blows up. Iran is, again, the linchpin that starts the fire. So the plagues is going to be happening. So what plagues? Let's get back to Exodus chapter 9. Exodus chapter 9. Let's read 23. Because remember, Ezra said that this is prophecy that this place is going to burn, is going to receive plagues as before, like Egypt. Exodus 9. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and Yahweh sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and Yahweh rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast. Hello. What did it say? Smote, both man and beast. So remember, when it said that it was going to be hail, fire, mingled with blood, and they was cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up. Remember, that's metaphorical. The trees were people, beasts. Same as ancient Egypt of old. That's where the blood is coming from. It's not coming from trees bleeding out. Both man and beast got what? Smote. And the hail smote every herb of the field and break every tree of the field. Right? So is there going to be literal trees being destroyed? Yes. But the blood that Revelation 8 is talking about, that's speaking about people. Okay. Now let's look at one more. Hold on, let's finish this off. Now it says the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and a third part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. So what's the green grass? Isaiah 40, verse 7. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the spirit of Yahweh bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. So when the Most High executes judgment, it says, when he blows that fire, when he blows that judgment, that's when you see the people are going to be as fire. Let's jump up, read verse 6. The voice said, cry, and he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the spirit of Yahweh bloweth upon it. Surely the people is as grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our power shall stand forever. So I think that point should be kind of clear, right? Regarding what's going to happen when that first trumpet gets blown. We're seeing small glimpses of it right now with, the destructions that's been happening when the bombs first started dropping back in what was it, February? There's been mass destruction from, the first bomb that got dropped by the small hats, man, they took out a couple hundred people, schools and all kind of stuff going on. But the numbers they haven't reached the masses yet. This is why, you were hearing about, the ground troops by the thousands is being assembled over there. They're pretty much saying at this point in time, man, Iran didn't even show up to the peace talks that was supposed to happen, to the extension of the peace talks. for the ceasefire talks this past Tuesday. And now they're saying there's only two ways out of this for Agent Orange, the head orangutan in charge. Two ways out. He can give reparations back to Iran, get him full control of the Strait of Hormuz, remove all the military bases from around the surrounding areas, and tell the small hats keep their hands to themselves and go back home and call off all the dogs. That's their first option. Second option is ground troops on deck, extend the war to another endless war. It sounds as if, and by all intents and purposes, option two is what Agent Orange is leaning towards. Because as he's talking about ceasefires, he was sending more troops over. We covered those particular articles and stories. There's a report. How true it is, I don't know. But ex-CIA agent said he got intel that last Sabbath, Agent Orange had to be talked down and was refused by one of his military generals. He was asking for the nuke codes because basically he was on some stuff like, look, if they don't bow down come Tuesday, let's nuke them. And they like, man, are you crazy? Hell no. Give me the codes. Give me the codes. They like, hell no. Lock get rid of him. Get him out the room. They said, man, that dude went into a fit of flying rage because they refused to give him the codes. So it was that close. That's according to I forgot the guy, Larry something, the CIA guy. Some of y'all probably heard that report going on. And there's video of him, giving his testimony of it. Only thing I can say with that is, it could be true, might not be. Remember, the CIA is good at, being spooks, man, and misdirection and putting out disinformation and, just to create an insight, social experiments and stuff like that, man. Who knows? But we know that this particular part of the trumpets is being blown because this is what's going to end up happening once when things are all said and done. So, and that says burnt up. So that's the ending. That's the end results, right? Not when it starts. Because you're gonna say, well, it ain't started yet. Look, that ain't happened yet. Look, yeah. No, it's going to be the end of the matter that happens. Not when it just started. So we gotta look at how things begin, not how they ended, right? Here's another precept on that, the third part, right? Ezekiel 5, 1 and 2 says, and thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thy head and upon thy beard, and take thee balances the way and divide the hair. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled, and thou shalt take a third part and smite about it with a knife. So this is all just showing about different particular portions, not an exact number. Only one that can count all the hairs of your head. Yahweh said, every Most High through Yahweh said, every hair on your head is accounted for. But this is how the dividing up of judgment happens. So, Ezekiel was told, take a barber's razor, cut his hair and his beard, divide it up in portions. Third part, take it. That's going to be a fire going to burn in the midst of the city. And a siege is going to happen, and Babylon is going to overtake Judah. Take another third part, smite it with a knife. Another third part, we get scattered. And they said they'll draw the sword after them, right? So this is how the prophecy was being understood. So when the fractions is being done, it's not always literal, so to speak, to the exact number, but it's just showing you how things are sectioned off as far as judgment is concerned. All right. Now let's get back over here. Revelation 8. Let's pick up verse 8. The second angel sounded, And as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. Now, this is important and this is interesting too, because this is part literal and it's part, similar to allegory or what have you. Okay. Um, let's look at, now see here it says, and the second angel sounded. So this is the second trumpet that gets blown. And as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. So let's look at the allegory of the mountains, right? Isaiah 2. And we're going to read verse 1 and 2. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it came to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. So we're seeing that Israel, the house of Judah and Jerusalem, is considered the mountain of Yahweh's house. So when you see mountains, we're just talking about an allegorical sense of a nation of people, right? And that says that there's going to be um, a great mountain that's going to be burning with fire. Now we got to figure out, well, what great nation, what big mountain is going to be burning with fire? In the top of the mountain, in this one it says, and it's going to be established in the top of the mountain. So Israel is going to be exalted and above all the other nations, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. So this is showing you the dominance that that Israel is going to have. So just showing you on the we get another precept in Isaiah 17. And um let's pick it up at verse 12 and we'll read down, and then I'm gonna read another couple more precepts. So Revelation 17, verse 12. Woe to the multitude of many people which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters. Remember the nations, right? And they're being compared to the rushing of many waters, but the Most High shall rebuke them. They shall flee far off and shall be chased as the shaft of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. So, how the Most High is going to embroil the nations and bring them into judgment. He said they're going to burn like the mountains before the wind. So, you try to ignite an ember and you blow on it and it becomes like a fire. That's how the Most High said the judgment of the nations is going to happen, right? He said, like the shaft of the mountains before the wind. In higher altitudes, that's where the winds kick in, and it said it's going to be rolling through like a whirlwind, but the shaft is going to be what gets burnt. Okay, and this is how the nations are going to execute judgment, even upon this great mountain, also known as America. Now, verse 14 it says, "And behold, at evening tide trouble, and before the morning he is not. This is the portion of them that spoil us, and a lot of them that rob us." So speaking about the nations, that spoil and rob us, take advantage of us, have no honor, no respect for the children of the Lord. That's what's going to end up happening, right? Now, mind you, if we get back to Revelation chapter 8, it says, "And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea." So one thing for sure, two things for certain, it said that this mountain, which is a nation of people, is going to be, or a nation that's going to be burnt with fire, cast into the sea. Now, if we're looking at the seas, now mind you, again, this is literal and figurative. I'm going to show you why I mean that. And again, dealing with not necessarily the beginning of a thing, but the end of the thing, right? Jeremiah 51, and we're going to read, let's read 25. It says, "Behold, I'm against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Yahweh, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will just stretch out my hand upon thee, and will roll down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain." So, what is it talking about? It's talking about America, right? The destruction of the mighty nations and um, America, and like it's a similitude of America being that destroying mountain, because America has destroyed many a nation. See up here, verse 24, "And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahweh. Behold, I'm against thee." Who's it talking about? Babylon. Oh, destroying mountain, because America has established, their rulership through destruction and oppression amongst many a nation. This is why when you read in Jeremiah 51, it's talking about uh, how the nations are going to come against America and destroy it. But it was acknowledged saying that they were a destroying mountain. Said the Lord would destroy all the earth. Because when this all thing go down, that's why we're talking about World War III, the war to end all wars and all of that. This is gonna cause destruction and destitution for much of the earth. Saith the Lord, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. Right? Um, Now it said it's also going to it's going to be in the midst of the seas. So Revelation 17 and 12, no, where I want that. I think it's 16. 15. Now you see here, it says Revelation 17:15, "And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." So the waters are peoples, right? Um, yeah, that's all I wanted, that one. So the waters, when it says that that great mountain is going to be sitting in the midst of the sea, let me read that. "And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea." So America is going to be tossed into destruction where the sea, where the peoples are, because remember, this is the place of the great melting pot. All the peoples are, so forth and so on, right? But that's one of the way. That's going to be one of the incoming destructions that happen. Is the end all be all for America. However, that's not just the end, because where and how is this going to start? Where and how are we going to get to this particular conflict with America? How's America going to get to this particular point where the nations, let's read verse 16. "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." The great mountain has got to be destroyed via fire, right? Um, Now, one other thing too that I want to share is uh hold on. Let me share this other way because I don't know if it's going to share correctly. Uh there's another thing I wanted to share that I thought was interesting that I came across um the other day. And this is under fair use. Fair use, right? Uh this is for our commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research under the Fair Use Act of 76. All right. Um, there's this YouTube channel that I was paying attention to and watching some not too long ago. I think I seen this last week or early this week, right? It's a YouTube channel called The Diary of a CEO. Plugging him, go check his channel out. He be having some compelling interviews sometimes. But I forgot this cat's name, man. But they call him the Iran war expert, and he says the most dangerous stage begins now. So he's getting ready to talk about the nations that's involved and the landscape that is going to take for this war to progress on, or how it's going to progress on, right? So this is the figure, this is the literal part of the burning mountains. So in the grand scheme of things, America is the great, that great mountain that's going to be destroyed, where peoples are dwelling, so forth and so on, right? Now it says that a great mountain. I'm gonna read it. And the second angel sounded, and it was as it were a great mountain burning with fire and cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. So a third part of the sea becoming blood is going to be based upon. Let me make sure that thing is sharing. Yes, it was. I want to play this. Now watch this.
Shows how incoherent the Iran leadership is. That's not what I saw. What I saw is they understood that Azerbaijan was always thought to be a staging area to go to Tehran. And so if you're going to take Tehran with a division or two, you would really want to have your forces start here from Azerbaijan. Now, so far, though, that's not happening. Azerbaijan said, nope, don't count on us. We're not getting in the middle of this. Now we're...
So, mind you, now he's saying that America, if they were to invade Iran, they would have to come from the north and utilize the routes coming through Azerbaijan. So America's already tried to reach out to them and say, well, look, we might need you to get involved. They're allied. They broken off from the Soviet Union based upon the destruction of the Soviet Union, of the USSR back in the 90s. And they said, no, we don't want no parts of that, right? Because eventually that whole coalition is going to have to come back together in defense of, the Eastern Europe and Russia. So Azerbaijan is staying neutral, saying, no, y'all can't come this way. Now, let me let them continue.
Back to why would you start to think about Marines to take territory here on the coasts of Iran?
So inside Iran, where the Strait of Hormuz is.
That's the beginning of it. You would start.
Now that's the key. He said that's the beginning. And that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about the literal parts where mountains are going to be destroyed, people are going to die, blood getting in the waters. Watch this.
They're around inside Iran, around the Strait of Hormuz, as a beachhead.
There's some photos which I'll throw up on the screen showing what the terrain around the Strait of Hormuz looks like. And
Did you hear that? This is the terrain around the Strait of Hormuz. Where is this biggest point of attack? Where are we talking about right now where there's maritime warfare going on? Trump just put out there that shoot to kill any Iranian ships that are putting mines in the waters. Tankers are being seized and shot at. So the warfare is beginning in the seas, not on the ground. And the particular landscape that we're looking at right now is a mountainous region. Excuse me. Now, again, beginnings. And what are we talking about? First trumpet being blown. So before the great mountain gets destroyed, there is going to be a mountainous region that's going to be burning and be on fire too. By all intents and purposes, it may begin right here.
It is quite shocking.
It's a moonscape, and what you can see is that this is the most difficult terrain for amphibious operations to operate in.
What is amphibious operations?
Where you have troops that are on ships, on landing vessels, just like Saving Private Ryan. They go from the water onto the beach. You would also then have some air power with some Ospreys, but they're doing essentially the same thing. They're coming onto the same beach.
What's an Osprey?
An Osprey is a special made plane that we made for the Marines, and it's a plane.
Now, even when you see, now that's a whole nother thing we'll look at the next time, but just keep this one in mind because in Revelation chapter 9, it's talking about locusts and scorpions and all kind of, similitudes and metaphors being utilized when a greater part of the war is jumping off during the time of the fifth trumpet. So just look at how this thing is moving. And think about flying insects and creatures that are being brought into the fold for warfare.
Marines, And it's a plane that is a hybrid between a helicopter and a jet. And so the propellers on the plane are able to rotate. So they can fly as a propeller plane here, or a cheap man's jet, or they can actually like a helicopter. And that's really great if you want to fly fast to a beach and then go straight down.
So are you saying that
So fly fast to a beach or go straight down. So let's get back and pick it up back in Revelation chapter 8 and verse 8 again. It says, and the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. So what's the meaning? It's going to be cast into sea of judgment of the people. The great mountain the Lord called America or Babylon, a great mountain that destroys, a great destroying mountain that destroys the earth, is going to be hit with fire. And by extension, a third part of the sea became blood. So what happened during the time of the Exodus when the water became blood? It was uninhabitable. I mean, you couldn't eat from it, couldn't drink from it, couldn't utilize it for any resources to drink. I mean, to bathe, so forth and so on, right? Now, it's letting it be known that the warfare is going to begin in the seas, right? So let's read verse 9. It says, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So if we're looking at it from a perspective of maritime warfare or naval warfare, this is the biggest war that we're hearing right now. They're talking about fighting on what? Water right now. That's where it's leading to now. Yes, you got the hypersonic missiles being utilized and those, hitting the land masses, but now it's venturing off into a bigger form of war. What did Esau, man, what did Agent Orange, the head of orangutan, what did he send out there? He sent out the biggest battleships that he had. USS Gerald Ford, he got the Lincoln out there, he's motivating and sending them out there. You got the submarines, the nuclear power submarine. He's sending all those things. The warfare is beginning on the seas. The real warfare, right? And that's what the scriptures are saying. So why is it saying that the creatures of the sea is going to be destroyed and life dying and all that? Well, think about it. If you're dealing with gas getting spilled out there, oil getting spilled out there, naval, ship parts and everything else destroying the water. The Fukushima, I made this, analogy before. In 2010, Japan, when they had that earthquake in Fukushima, and the Fukushima plant got ruptured, and all of the nuclear fallout that fell into the waters. Let me see if I can get that up in American sailors. Yeah, look at this. 7 years on. 7 years on, sailors exposed to Fukushima radiation seek their day in court. Over 1,000 feet in length and weighing roughly 100,000 tons, the USS Ronald Reagan, a super carrier in the United States Navy 7th Fleet, is not typically thought of as a speedboat, but on a March day in 2011, the Nimitz class ship was a hauling ass, according to the petty officer, third class Lindsay. Yet when Reagan got closer to his destination, just off the Sendai coast in northern Japan, it slowed considerably. You could hardly see the water. Cooper told me all you saw was wood, trees, boats. The ship stopped moving because there was so much debris. So this is why you even seeing, man, the literal aspect and the spiritual aspect of how things is going. When that earthquake hit, he said, look, all you could see was wood, trees, boats, things being destroyed after that earthquake hit. But long story short, when they were going out there to go help, what happened? The fallout from radiation exposure. That's why when we're reading it back in Revelation chapter 8, when it says uh the creatures were dying, third part of the creatures which were in the sea had life and died, a third part of the ships were destroyed. When they get to cracking on the seas, man, it's going to destroy much of the livelihood of the seas, and the fallout from the destruction of the ships is going to be all in the seas. Um, Let me see if I can find another article from let's see, they're talking about there's no evidence. Yeah, right. See, it's all in how you ask. See, the last time that's why you can't mess with the damn AI, man. I thought I just put that in there earlier. It just said, "Oh, you can't." There's no evidence. Now you see here, fish species such as Pacific bluefin tuna, albacore tuna, have been found to contain radioactive cesium isotopes due to the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Now, if you just seen, I don't know if you caught it, but when I put in there fish affected from the Fukushima, it said there's no evidence that happened. Now I switch up how you ask, then it tells you the damn truth. So that's just an example. I don't want to spend too much more time on that. But as you can see, when the warfare jumps off, bombs, missiles get to flying, the contaminants that hit the water is going to destroy much of the creatures of the sea life, the aquatic life is going to be affected, and there's going to be destruction of ships. Okay. Verse 10. Now it says, and the third angel sounded. So here we are with the third trumpet. And there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. So this great star from heaven that's going to be dropping is major missiles and bombs. That's what's going to be being utilized in this particular aspect of warfare. All right. Let me get a precept in Matthew. Matthew, let's read 24. And we'll read verse 29. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. Why is that going to be happening? Because of the soot, the smoke, the destruction that ends up happening, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. It's not going to have literal stars from the galaxy and all the other stuff falling. No, the stars are going to be the missiles, the bombs, the things that come or seem to be falling from heaven. I saw multiple videos before of missiles and bombs, how they look in the skies. Y'all see it? Y'all, you gotta do is go on what is it, X and YouTube, and you just see the missiles in the uh, even the what do you call it? The Iron Dome defense systems and the missile intercepts. They look like shooting stars flying through the air. I don't have any videos, but I've shown them in times past so y'all can see what they look like. Now, mind you, the scriptures say that there's going to be a great star from falling from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. So that burning, that big bomb is going to be one of nuclear multitude, fervent heat. Okay. Now, verse 10 again, it says, and the third angel sounded. So by that third trumpet, there's going to be a major destruction that happens. Burning as it were a lamp, and it fell from the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of the waters. Right. So let me get one more in Revelation. Let me see if I might have something out here. Yeah, here we go. Let me see if this. Yeah, all praises. I do remember. Now here's a little bit, a little visual, right? These are missiles that's flying in. I believe this was in this was missiles that were being shot at in Israel, right? I forgot which nation was launching them. It might have been Iran. But when you see here, these are all missiles. That's why I said that they look like stars falling from heaven, right? It said the great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and the fountains of the waters. So there's going to be missiles that's being attacked and launched, flying into the waters because of the nautical warfare that's going to be jumping off, and it's going to be hitting the people. Remember that the seas is like the people as well. Okay, so that was that. Let me close that up. And let me finish that up. Verse 13, it says, "And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she shaketh of a mighty wind." So, yeah, when the figs aren't, fully ripened, they can blow off. When they're just budding, the strong winds hit, they'll fly off. And figs come in multitudes. So he said that's how the missiles are going to be coming. Look, just think about it. Iran just launched 300 missiles at Israel and tore them up. And they got tore up from them, right? And they said that these particular missiles that they're shooting, I forgot the name of them. I'll have it for you next time. It said they can reload in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Matter of fact, while we at it, let me find that real quick. It's like, give me 1 second. They say in 15 minutes, man, those Kaibar missiles. Let me share. Here we go. These are the missiles that they've been launching and tearing up the small hats in America with, right? Kaibar Shikan is an Iranian solid fuel medium range ballistic missile operated by the IRGC. It is of the third generation IRGC missiles and was unveiled in 2022 at a ceremony attended by the Iranian military commanders on the 43rd anniversary of the Iranian Revolution. The missile is propelled by solid fuel and its warhead is maneuverable in terminal phase with the objective of evading air defenses. Yeah. They fly around and evade the air defenses, and they said they don't need GPS. It has the ability to hit targets within a range of 1,450 kilometers or 900 miles away. Kaibar alludes to a fort near Medina Kaibar, which was populated by Arabian Jews and was in 628 AD, conquered by Muslims, led by Prophet Muhammad. Shakan means destroyer or breaker. Let me see if that. No, it ain't on here. But let me show you something. Spell it KH Kaibar missile. See, look at this. Did Iran hit Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu's office with a Kaibar Shikan missile? That was on March 2nd. It says, real quick, this allowed the missile to be stored in a launch-ready state and fired on short notice, reportedly in under 15 minutes from its mobile platform. So here they are. They call them the ghost missile. They launching them by the hundreds. And after they go, within less than 15 minutes, another 200 can come at you. That's when you see these things flying like that. And that's sealed in Revelation 6 and 13. We just got to read and start like stars from heaven. Just start imagining putting your mind frame into the players in the game and their access to particular weapons and these things. And would it make sense that those are the type of weapons that's being utilized right now? Okay. Now, getting back over here, now it says a third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. It said burning as it were as a lamp. So this is going to be a constant heat that can't get put out. That's going to illuminate for all to see. That's what we're talking about. What can bring what weapon can bring that attention for everybody to see that's going to be constantly burning, unless it's something of, atomic or nuclear power, right? So let's continue on. And where we at? So we read that. Let's read 11. It says, and the name of the star is called wormwood. Why is it called wormwood? Wormwood represents bitterness, destruction. Wormwood is a herb that is good for like inflammation, gets rid of parasites. What else is wormwood good for? It's like a good, cleanser, clean out. But one thing for sure, you cannot take wormwood daily. You can't use it's toxic. So everything that we're hearing about that this star is coming with is toxic. Well, what's radiation? It's toxic, right? The bitterness of and it's also a bitter herb. So when it's saying that the star is going to be called wormwood, it means it's going to be bringing bitter destruction that is toxic. And it gets rid of parasites. Who's the biggest parasite on the earth, man? Who's sucking everything dry and infecting everybody with it, with their wickedness and their evil? And look, does wormwood, look at this damn thing listening to me, get rid of parasites? It's a parasite cleanse. Wormwood has been shown to anthelmintic properties, effectively reducing worm motility and potentially eliminating parasites like Haemonchus contortus in beef cattle and other intestinal parasites and whatnot, right? So, that's just another metaphor being used. So bitter destruction is going to be happening based upon this star called wormwood, right? And it's going to get rid of all the dang parasites. You're going to finally get rid of our parasitic enemy. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and men died of the waters. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter, right? So this is where you see that metaphor being used. So many men are going to die from this bitterness and destruction that's going to happen. Proverbs 5, verse 4. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. So, this woman, still representing America, the great whore. See, look at this. Proverbs 5 and 3 says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. So this Revelation 17, paralleling, showing the nature of the great harlot, the whore, decked out in silver, decked out in pearls and costly array and purple and scarlet and so forth and so on, man, seductive. All the kings of the earth are drinking from the wine of the wrath of her fornication. They're all on her tip. But what? Her end is bitter as wormwood. So the evident destruction of the mother of harlots in America, Babylon, is going to be bitter destruction, sharp as a two-edged sword, right? Let's look at Lamentations 3, 18, 19. And I said, my strength and my people is perished from Yahweh, remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall. So this is also on how the destruction and the judgment is meaning affliction, misery, bitterness, wrath. When that bomb gets to dropping, that's what everybody's going to experience. And it said that men are going to die from it as well. It's going to bring a sore, bitter destruction. Let me see if I can get it up. Second Ezra's. All right, it worked. All praises. And we're going to read we'll read one, we'll read down a few verses. Second Ezra 5:1. Now, it says, you know what? I'm not gonna start there yet. Let me go back. So verse 11, let's make sure we're clear on that. And the name of the star is called wormwood. So what is that? The bitter destruction, the toxic destruction, and the one is going to get rid of that parasitic enemy of ours. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. So again, we're just talking about a certain dispensation of the earth and peoples going to be destroyed based upon this bitter destruction coming via thermonuclear destruction. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So men will die from this apparent destruction. Let me read one more in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 9, let's read 13. And the Most High Yahweh saith, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein, but have walked after their imagination of their own heart, and after Baalim, which their fathers taught them. Therefore, saith the Most High of hosts, power of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. Look at the gall. What is this? A poisonous plant, venom, poison. See? Destruction, death is what's coming based upon that. So getting back over here to verse 12, we're almost done. Verse 12, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So was the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third of it, and the night likewise. So when you're looking at sun and the moon, those are representations of wisdom and knowledge. They're going to be diminishing. During these times when destruction is happening, the scriptures tell us that, that there's going to be a famine of the word. That when all this is jumping up, man, people are going to be running to and fro, wanting to get the knowledge now. No, remember, we have to do this before the day of the decree of the Lord falls forth. Not after, but there's going to be many of them that's going to be running, wanting the light. They want to see, oh, where's the sun at? Where's the moon at? We want the knowledge. We need the information. It's going to be too late. Wisdom and knowledge are going to be diminishing. They're not going to be giving off the light that they have like they used to. Job 18:5. Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. So there's not only going to be a diminishing of knowledge and understanding, but the wicked is going to be destroyed. This is where judgment starts falling into place. Let's look at Micah chapter 3. Verse 6. Therefore, night shall be unto you, that ye shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you. that ye shall not divine. So what's divine? Meaning bring forth understanding, bring forth knowledge, bring forth wisdom. That's where the darkness comes from. We enter into a stage of coming from darkness into light, right? When we're in our dark stages, that's when we're in our, our ignorances, our knuckle dragging moments, our savageness, our living unlawful and unrighteous according to the law. Then what do? We get the commandments. We get the knowledge of the commandments. Let's read that real quick in Proverbs 6 and 20, was it 23? Yeah, see. Proverbs 6:23, for the commandment is a lamp and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So when we're not walking in the light, we're in the darkness. That's the ignorances. That's the death. The light represents what? The law. So now going back to Micah and reading verse 6 again, it says, therefore night shall be unto you that ye shall not have a vision. So understanding of prophecy, vision, all that's going to be diminishing. It shall be dark unto you that ye shall not divine, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Then shall the seers be ashamed, and the diviners confounded. Yea, they shall all cover their lips. And, for there is no answer of the Most High. So the days of them trying to come at the last minute to get prophecy and understanding all that's going to be over with. So again, going back to Revelation 8 and 12, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon. So the light was what the sun represents, and the third part of the moon also representing light. It says that they're going to what? Diminish. They're going to be darkened. And the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, so there's going to be a diminishing of knowledge and understanding. Okay. Let's look at let me get one more in Job. And let's read verse 26. Let's start with 20. We'll start at 23. Read down. So, for destruction from the Most High was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence, if I rejoice because my wealth was great, and because my hand had got much, if I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart have been secretly enticed, or my mouth had kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I shouldn't have denied that the Most High that is above. So what is it showing? The sun is where the light is coming from, the moon walking in brightness. That's showing the enlightenment, the wisdom, the knowledge, the laws of the Most High. It's saying these things are going to start diminishing. They're going to be covered over in these last days when that fourth trumpet gets blown. Let's read that in a second. Remember, in what I say, Amos 8 and 11 tells us that. Let's read that real quick. Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith the Most High Power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Most High. So people are going to be looking for the prophets, want to hear the word, and no, too late. Remember, we're going to be on the move like pilgrims. 2 Ezra 5. So we're getting little glimpses of that as we speak right now, man. You're hearing that, from NSPM 7 and the crackdown on, domestic so-called terrorism. And if you're with it, either you're with us or you're against us, that's basically what that law is in place for. And that statute that's being enacted. You see it up there in Canada. You can't quote the Bible anymore. That's punishable by being arrested. The word now is being more and more persecuted, especially if you're standing on it and speaking in any manner against, Babylon the Great. So the NSPM 7 is key too, especially here. Reading 2nd Ezra 5:1. Remember, these are the beginnings. The end is when everything is finished with each trumpet. But we're at the stages of the beginnings of these things, or the hearing the sounds of these particular trumpets. Once they fully, extend their notes out, that's when each one is in this completion. Okay. 2nd Ezra 5:1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest. Why? Because people are going to be losing their minds, especially now. I mean, you already see it. People are robbing Brinks trucks, smashing grabs is going on. People are stealing gas down there in Australia. Uproars of the people are jumping off because of the inflation, the cost of living, the layoffs, you name it. All that we're seeing all of the makings of this going on right now. But iniquity shall be increased above that which thou seest. So it said, even what you're seeing now is going to get even worse. Right? Yahweh told us, because iniquity hath abound, love of many shall wax cold in Revelation 24. And I think it's like the 6th or 8th verse, somewhere around there. So that was prophesied, and we understand. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. Okay. So carry on, this all goes into the same things that we're reading about with the trumpets. As we, read more in 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter. But I'm not going to go further into that for time's sake, but just to make the point. And I believe even in that chapter it mentions the 3rd and the 4th trumpet, or at least the 3rd one, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, getting back here to verse 12. So we're seeing a diminishing of the knowledge and whatnot, right, and the wisdom. And then we've seen the precept in 2nd Ezra 5, amongst others. Last verse, 13. It says, and I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to sound. Now, notice, I know in times past, or just in general understanding, right? And before we go there, let me get one more in Revelation 8 and 12. And because at this point, we're seeing that the word of the Lord is going to be hard for it to be received, or to be heard, or to obtain, or to acquire. The knowledge and wisdom going to be diminishing. But it says also, let me get one more in Jeremiah 49, and reading verse 7. And it says, concerning Edom, thus saith the power of hosts, the Most High of hosts, is wisdom no more unto man? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Because when this is all said and done, even though we're seeing all of these things going on with, Trump talking about ceasefires and Netanyahu want ceasefires, peace treaties, all this other stuff, none of that is going to be happening. That's why I said, is wisdom no more unto man? Is there no more wisdom? Is there no more understanding? Is there no more respect happening amongst T-men or amongst Edom, where they can't talk their way out, they can't negotiate their way out of anything? So there's not going to be no peace treaties, no Nobel Peace Prizes, technological advancement that's going to be able to get them out of this. Verse 8. Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. So all of these things, the trumpets have already been blown, they're sounding. You can faintly hear them in the spirit. The beginnings of all of these things is falling upon us. And now, ain't nothing Esau can do about it, in other words, right? Now, getting back to verse 13 one more time. When you see here, it says, "And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels." Now, notice it says, "Woe, woe, woe." I know some you should, even us, you should teach, oh, this is World War III, the three woes, World War I, World War II, World War III. No, no, no. Read it in context and understand. Woe, woe, woe. This is the loud voices being said. Now, after four trumpets have already been sounded, it said three more woes had to occur to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet. So these are three more woes, three more trumpets of the three angels which are yet to sound, not World War III. Okay. So even when we used to teach that back in the day, we was off on that. This ain't representing the World War III. This is representing the three trumpets that have yet to be blown, meaning there's still three more destructions that are to happen. Let's look at Revelation 11 and verse 14. Now notice it says here that the second woe is past, and behold, a third woe cometh quickly. So the woes are the destructions. And going back to Revelation 8:8, we had what? 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 3 more have yet to sound. So there's 7 trumpets total. All right. So that's when you get into chapter 9, you get into the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. So read it in that particular sequence of order. Remember, there was no chapters and verses when the assembling of the books was done. So when you're reading it in context, and you're reading in the flow, said there's still 3 more that ain't sounded yet, 3 more destructions that are to occur before it's all said and done. All right. So with that being said, most high willing, everybody got some understanding. You may need to go back over this, make sure your precepts is in order. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh Shai. Prayerfully, this was edifying, and like I said, most high willing, I get to chapter 9. We'll do the other three trumpets through the Spirit. And until then, next time, Shabbat Shalom.